The eclipse corridor that accompanies this passage is one of the most potent, energetic catalysts available to a soul seeking genuine acceleration along the path of awakening. And we use the word catalyst with precision because a catalyst does not add something foreign to the system it activates. A catalyst creates the conditions under which what was already present, already ready, already on the verge of emerging, can finally do so. The eclipse energies moving through your collective field right now are not introducing anything that was not already there within you. They are removing, with a gentle but inexorable efficiency, the final layers of energetic density that have been holding certain completions in a state of suspended animation. Things that you have known needed to be spoken can now be spoken with a clarity and a warmth that was not fully available before. Patterns that you have been cycling through, visiting again and again from different angles, as though circling a center that you could sense but not quite reach, are now accessible for genuine completion rather than continued exploration. The eclipse is a clarifying wind through the inner home of your consciousness. And like any wind that moves through a space that has been long closed, it may first create a brief sensation of disturbance before the cleaner, fresher air establishes itself as the new baseline. If you are experiencing emotional movement in these days, waves of feeling that arrive with intensity and then pass more quickly than you expected, understand that this is the process working exactly as it is designed to. You are not in crisis. You are in completion. And completion always makes way for what is genuinely new to enter. Forgiveness is one of the primary technologies of the eclipse passage, and we speak of it as a technology because it has specific mechanics, a specific way of operating on the energetic structure of consciousness that produces reliably measurable results, not in the outer world as a first consequence, but in the inner world as the primary effect that then radiates outward into every dimension of your experience when you carry unforgiveness toward another, toward a situation, toward yourself. You are maintaining an active, energetic loop that pulls a portion of your creative power into the past, rather than allowing that power to be fully present and available in the now, where your life is actually being created. This is not a moral judgment about forgiveness. It is a practical observation about how consciousness and creative energy operate. The portion of your frequency that is engaged in maintaining a loop of unresolved emotional charge is a portion that is not available for building what you actually want your life to become. Forgiveness, understood in this way, is not about deciding that what happened was acceptable. It is about reclaiming your own energy from a past that cannot be changed and redirecting it toward a future that is genuinely open. The eclipse energies are extraordinary for this work because they create a softening in the energetic structure of stored emotional material that makes movement possible. In places where movement has been blocked for months or even years, you do not need to force anything. You do not need to arrive at a predetermined conclusion about what you are releasing. You simply need to be willing to feel what arises, to breathe through it with the kind of gentle presence you would offer to anything that is in the process of becoming free, and to trust that the intelligence moving through this corridor knows exactly what it is doing in your energy field. Clean choices are one of the most visible gifts of an eclipse passage, because the contrast between what aligns and what does not becomes dramatically more legible when the energetic clarity of the corridor has done its work of softening the old layers. You know what a clean choice feels like in the body. There is a particular quality of internal settling, a quiet relief that arrives not with fanfare, but with a sense of rightness that, needs no argument to support it. The body does not debate a clean choice. The body simply recognizes it with the kind of relaxation that happens when a long-held tension releases. In the days ahead, as you navigate the decisions both large and small that your life presents to you, pay attention to this signal, not to the persuasiveness of any argument you can construct for or against a particular course of action, but to the quality of the physical sensation in your chest and belly when you place your awareness on each possibility in turn. What softens? What contracts? What opens? What closes? Your body has been calibrated through everything you have lived to recognize the difference between what moves you toward your genuine path and what moves you away from it, and in a corridor of this energetic clarity. That calibration becomes more reliable than it has ever been in your experience. You do not need a master to tell you what your next right step is. You need to trust the instrument you carry in your own body. You have been preparing for the quality of clarity that is available to you right now for longer than you know. Do not dismiss what you are feeling as wishful thinking or spiritual sentiment. What is moving through you in this moment is real. It is accurate. And what arrives in the next part of this transmission is going to show you exactly how to anchor it permanently into your daily life. Relationships are one of the primary arenas in which the shifts of this corridor become most directly and most personally felt. Because relationships are where your frequency meets another frequency in the most real and most unavoidable way. There is nowhere to hide in genuine relationship, and this passage removes the incentive to try. The conversations that have been waiting, the ones you have rehearsed in your mind many times without quite finding the right moment or the right words, or the courage to trust that speaking the truth would move things toward healing rather than disruption. These conversations find their natural window of arrival in an eclipse corridor, because the energies of completion and new beginning that the eclipse activates create a softening in the relational field that makes genuine honesty both safer and more received than it typically is. A truth spoken with warmth, without the edge of old resentment, and without the armor of self-protection, has a different quality than a truth spoken from a defended or contracted place. And the eclipse corridor creates conditions for precisely this kind of clean, warm, undefended truth-telling in your closest relationships, where there is genuine love and genuine willingness on both sides. This passage will deepen connection in ways that will feel like a rediscovery, as though you and the people you love are meeting each other more fully than you have been able to previously, because what was previously in the way is in the process of being completed and released. Community is one of the most powerful accelerants available to a soul on the Ma awakening path, and the current corridor is creating conditions for community to form and deepen with a naturalness and an ease that would be unusual in ordinary energetic conditions. You will find in the coming days and weeks that you are being drawn towards specific people, specific circles, specific conversations that carry a quality of resonance that goes deeper than shared interest or shared belief. This is the experience of soul family recognition, and it is one of the most sustaining frequencies available to a being who has sometimes carried the solitude of their knowing as a weight rather than a gift. The isolation that many awakened souls have experienced through earlier phases of their path was not a permanent condition. It was a preparation, a season in which the internal clarity that makes genuine community possible was being developed without the distraction of premature joining. That season is completing for many of you. The corridors are opening towards circles that will feel, from the very first meeting, like arriving somewhere you have always been heading. Trust the magnetism. Follow the resonance. Show up in the spaces where you feel the specific warmth that distinguishes genuine. Soul recognition from mere surface compatibility. Because the community that you build in this passage will become one of the primary support structures through which you navigate everything that this extraordinary era has yet to reveal. The quality of service that this corridor is inviting from you is not the effortful, depleting service of a being who is giving from an emptied vessel. It is the effortless, sustainable, continuously replenishing service of a being who has so fully become their own. Frequency that their simple presence becomes a transmission. You do not need to say the right things. You do not need to have the answers that the people around you are seeking. You need, above all else, to remain genuinely yourself, to embody the quality of grounded, warm, curious, non-reactive aliveness that is your birthright as a conscious soul, and that has been your actual identity throughout every season of this journey, even the seasons when external circumstances made it temporarily difficult to access. When you walk into a room as a fully inhabiting presence, when you are genuinely here, genuinely curious, genuinely warm, genuinely unafraid of the discomfort that sometimes accompanies truth, you change the energetic quality of that room in ways that benefit every person present, whether or not any of them can identify what shifted or where the shift came from. This is the service of frequency. This is the contribution that cannot be delegated to any structure or system or institution, because it lives only in the embodied, present, sovereign individual who has done the inner work to make it available. You are that individual. You have always been that individual. And the world around you is changing in ways that make your embodied, present, sovereign service more valuable in every hour that passes. What you have been building through every season of this journey, every night you spent in confusion, every day you chose to trust when the evidence was thin, every moment you chose love over fear when it would have been easier to choose otherwise, all of it has been preparing you for exactly this passage. Do not let the momentum of what is available to you right now pass through your hands without receiving it fully. What comes next is the practical architecture for how to anchor everything you have received in this transmission into a life that finally feels fully like yours. The body has been waiting for this season with a patience that exceeds what any conscious mind could sustain, because the body operates on a timeline of soul purpose rather than a timeline of personal preference. And the soul purpose that brought you into this lifetime specified this period, this passage, this particular convergence of cosmic and personal and collective conditions as one of the primary operational theaters of your mission here. What that means in practical terms is that your body has resources available to it right now that were not available in previous passages. A receptivity to higher frequency input, a capacity for integration that has been developed through everything you have lived and processed and moved through. A structural resilience that was built precisely through the seasons that felt most difficult. The fatigue that many of you carry is not evidence of insufficient capacity. It is evidence of extensive processing. The sensitivity that many of you experience as almost overwhelming at times is not evidence of fragility. It is evidence of extraordinary refinement, an instrument that has been tuned to a high level of precision is more responsive to subtle frequencies than a coarser instrument. And that responsiveness, while it requires more careful stewardship, is also the source of the specific gifts and capacities that you are here to offer. Tend your instrument. Treat your body with the quality of conscious tenderness that a musician brings to a finely crafted instrument before a performance they have spent a lifetime preparing. 4. Because that is exactly what this period is. Sleep is sacred in a passage of this intensity. And when we say sacred, we mean it with the full technical precision that the word carries in its original. Meaning, set apart for a specific purpose, recognized as operating according to different rules than ordinary activity, treated with the respect owed to a process that is doing important work that the waking mind cannot do. When you sleep in this corridor, your body is not simply recovering from the demands of waking activity. It is integrating the higher frequency information that the waking state has been receiving, processing the emotional completions that the eclipse energies are catalyzing, and conducting navigational conversations between the different layers of your consciousness that rarely have the spaciousness to meet during the occupied hours of the day. Honor this. Create the conditions that allow sleep to be the deepest and most restorative that your circumstances allow. Not as a luxury, but as an operational necessity of the highest order. Water taken with genuine presence and genuine gratitude. Not as a mechanical biological maintenance task, but as an act of conscious cooperation with the intelligence of your physical form. Supports the integration process in ways that are not yet fully modeled by your biochemistry, nature, in any form that is accessible to you. Provides a grounding and a recalibration of your nervous system that no technology can replicate, because the living electromagnetic field of your Earth's biosphere resonates with the living electromagnetic field of your body at frequencies that your body recognizes as home. Simplicity is one of the most underrated spiritual technologies of your era, because your world has been designed to make complexity feel important and simplicity feel like deprivation. The opposite is true. Complexity is the strategy of a system that is trying to prevent you from noticing the elegant sufficiency of what is always already present. Implicity is the environment in which the deepest guidance can make itself heard, without competing with the volume of unnecessary noise. In this corridor, the impulse towards simplification that many of you are feeling, the desire to reduce commitments that have been draining without producing genuine alignment, to clear physical and digital environments that have been generating more friction than flow, to choose fewer inputs of higher quality rather than many inputs of diminishing relevance. This impulse is not avoidance. It is intelligence. It is your higher self creating the conditions of spaciousness in which the next clear movement of your life can be heard, felt, and acted upon with the kind of unambiguous wholeness that you have been trying to access through complexity and never quite finding there. Small practices, carried consistently, create a foundation of inner stability that no dramatic spiritual experience can provide. 10 minutes of genuine stillness, offered daily without negotiation, creates more lasting transformation than occasional hours of intense practice, separated by long periods of noise. A single breath, taken consciously at the threshold of each significant conversation, is a practice of presence that will change the quality of every relationship in your life. A single moment of genuine gratitude, not performed, not mechanically recited, but actually felt in the body as the natural response of a consciousness that recognizes what it has been given, recalibrates your frequency more efficiently than any technique designed for that. Purpose. You have arrived at the threshold of what this entire transmission has been, preparing you to receive. What comes next is not more teaching. It is a direct invitation, and you will know it when it lands, because your body will respond before your mind has finished processing the words. The Pleiadian High Council speaks now, not to the part of you that is watching this. Transmission from a comfortable distance, curious and engaged, but held back by the habitual gesture of deferring to some future moment that will feel more ready, more certain, more fully prepared. We speak to the part of you that already knows, the part that has always known, the part that chose this lifetime with the full awareness of what it would cost and what it would offer, and that has been walking toward this moment through every season and every passage of this extraordinary journey with a devotion to its purpose that has never once faltered at the level where it genuinely matters. That part of you is not waiting for permission. That part of you is not uncertain about its direction. That part of you has been the steady north beneath every compass needle of this life, maintaining its orientation toward the true direction of your deepest purpose, regardless of how many surface-level diversions and confusions temporarily obscured it. And what this passage is offering, more than any specific activation, or any cosmic frequency, or any celestial configuration, is the experiential confirmation of that knowing in a way that will make it impossible to continue treating it as possibility rather than fact. You are what you have been becoming. The becoming is complete enough to be lived. Not perfectly, not without continued growth and continued adjustment and continued surprises in both directions, but complete enough to stop treating your actual identity as a hypothesis that requires further evidence before it can be claimed. The rapid, systemic changes that this transmission's invitation carries are not changes in the outer world that you will observe and respond to. They are changes in the fundamental architecture of how you generate your daily experience. Changes in the template from which you create rather than in the specific creations themselves. When the template changes, everything changes. Not dramatically or all at once, but thoroughly and permanently, in the way that a building whose foundation has been repaired will begin to show the effects of that repair in every aspect of its structure over time, becoming progressively more coherent, more functional, more aligned with its intended purpose, more able to serve what it was designed to serve. The template that is shifting in you now is the one that has been generating the gap between what you know you are and how you have been living, between the frequency of your deepest truth and the frequency you have been broadcasting in your ordinary moments. That gap is closing, not because the outer circumstances of your life are necessarily changing all at once, though some of them will change as a natural consequence, but because the inner architecture that creates the outer circumstances is being recalibrated to a higher and more accurate expression of what you genuinely are. And once that recalibration has occurred, to the degree it is occurring in this passage, the outer circumstances begin to rearrange themselves around the new template with an efficiency and a precision that will feel, to your ordinary mind, like something between magic and inevitability. It is neither. It is simply the law of resonance operating in a field that has become coherent, enough to demonstrate it clearly. Every soul in this transmission field is being invited to take one specific step in the direction of their genuine next movement. Not a grand gesture, not a life-changing declaration, not a burning of bridges or a dramatic rupture with anything that has been part of their path. One step, one specific, embodied, concrete expression of the next thing that their knowing has been pointing toward, and that they have been almost, but not quite, allowing themselves to take. The eclipse corridor creates the energetic conditions for that one step to land, with a solidity and a finality that makes the next step considerably easier, because each genuine step creates the platform upon which the following step can be, taken with more stability and less effort than the one before it. Momentum in the direction of your genuine path is one of the greatest gifts available in this corridor. And momentum is created not by intensity of effort, but by consistency of direction, by the accumulated weight of many choices, large and small, that have been made in alignment with the same essential truth, rather than oscillating between the truth and the familiar pattern of deferral. One step, taken today, with the full weight of your genuine knowing behind it. That is the practice this passage is offering, and that is the investment that will yield the most profound and most lasting returns of anything available to you in this extraordinary window of accelerated. Beloved ones of Earth, we greet you in the light of your own becoming. I am Kaylee. Becoming. If this transmission has met something real in you, if these words have found a frequency within you that you recognize as genuinely your own, that has been present through every season of your awakening, even when it felt most deeply buried, then you already understand why this channel exists and what it is here to offer. The Celestial Station is a dedicated point of transmission for communications of this kind. Messages that carry more than information, that are designed to activate what is already present rather than simply deposit new. Content that meet the awakened soul at the level of its genuine readiness, rather than at the level of what is most comfortable or most easily digested. If you are here, you are ready for what this channel transmits. Subscribe and activate the notification so that each new transmission finds you at the moment it is most relevant to where you are in your own unfolding. Share this message with any soul in your circle who has been quietly waiting for exactly this quality of resonance, because one of the primary services of this passage is the drawing together of those who carry the same frequency of genuine readiness and genuine devotion to the path of awakening. You did not arrive here by accident. The soul does not waste its attention, and what arrives next in this transmission series will meet you exactly one step further into the opening that has already begun in you today. The Pleiadian High Council holds you in frequencies of the highest love and the most precise support as you take the steps that are yours to take in this extraordinary passage. You are not alone in this. You have never been alone in this. And the proof of that truth is already present in the part of you that recognized these words before you had finished reading them. You are the light that your world has been waiting for. Now let yourself believe it enough to live it. Something shifted in the hours before you found this transmission. You may not have had words for it yet, but the feeling was there. A kind of hum beneath your ordinary thoughts, a soft electric charge moving through your chest, like the first breath of a morning that already knows it will be different from all the ones before it. You felt it in the edges of your sleep, in the way you woke up and paused before reaching for anything, as though some wiser part of you was saying, wait, just for a moment. Before you fill the silence, that pause was not accidental. That pause was the first signal, and now you are here, receiving the full message that your higher knowing called you toward. Because something in this transmission has been prepared specifically for where you are right now, not where you were last month, not where you hope to be, but exactly where you are standing in this present moment. What you are about to receive will not simply inform you, it will land in the body. It will resonate in the space behind the sternum, where truth has always lived, without needing proof, and it will activate a recognition that you have been ready to receive for longer. Fan, your conscious mind has allowed itself to admit. Stay with what is being given here. Do not rush past it. Because what is moving through your world right now is not a concept, it is a living current, and you are standing directly in its path. I am Mira, speaking to you from the heart of the Pleiadian High Council, and I reach you today with a warmth that moves ahead of my words, like the light that precedes the dawn. I come not as a voice above you, but as a voice that knows you, that has walked alongside the deeper current of your becoming, through many seasons of this extraordinary journey you have chosen, because you did choose this, not in a vague or abstract sense, but with a clarity of soul purpose that was encoded into the very frequency of your incarnation. You chose to be here at the precise intersection of a cosmic recalibration and a planetary awakening. And the fact that you have arrived at this transmission is not coincidence, it is confirmation. The Pleiadian High Council has been observing the shifting of your collective field with a precision that your instruments are only now beginning to approach. And what we are witnessing is something that has not occurred in this configuration during any previous cycle within recorded stellar memory. A threshold has been crossed, not in the outer world, not in the declarations of any institution or the announcements of any authority, structure, but in the inner world of millions of awakening beings simultaneously recognizing something they can no longer unfeel. A door has opened from the inside, and doors that open from the inside cannot be closed from the outside. Remember that. Write it somewhere you will see it. Because in the days ahead, there will be moments when the outer world attempts to make you forget what your inner world has already made irreversible. What you have been calling ascension symptoms, the interrupted sleep patterns, the sudden waves of emotion that arrive without external cause and leave without needing explanation, the heightened sensitivity to sound and light, and the energy of spaces and other people, the occasional feeling of being between two versions of yourself, as though the old template is softening while a new one has not yet fully solidified. These are not signs that something is wrong with your system. They are signs that something extraordinarily right is occurring. Your physical form is in the midst of a profound restructuring at the level of its energetic architecture. And that restructuring has been activated by a combination of cosmic influences that are converging in a configuration your world has not experienced in this precise way. The frequencies entering your planetary field right now are not simply background radiation from distant astronomical events. They are carrying information, specific, structured, intentional information that is being received and processed by every biological system on your Earth that has the sufficient inner coherence to register it. Your body is not falling behind the pace of this shift. Your body is responding with exactly the intelligence it was designed to apply in. Precisely this kind of evolutionary moment. And the symptoms you have been experiencing, every single one of them, are evidence of that intelligence in action. Trust your body. It knows what it is doing in ways that will exceed your analytical mind's capacity to fully track, and your invitation is not to understand every detail of the process, but to support it with the same tenderness you would offer to anything precious that is becoming new. What you are about to receive in the next layer of this transmission is information that many awakened souls have been sensing for months, but have not yet had the framework to hold with full clarity. Stay with every word, because this is precisely what your system called you here to receive. A passage of heightened celestial alignment is active in your sky right now, and its significance extends far beyond the visual spectacle of multiple planetary lights gathering in your evening horizon. When the great wanderers of your solar system arrange themselves into configurations of concentrated proximity, the geometric relationships they create within the living electromagnetic field of your solar system generate something that your most sensitive instruments are only beginning to measure accurately: a harmonic convergence of archetypal frequencies that carries a specific instruction to every conscious system within its field of influence. Think of it not as an external force acting upon you, but as a resonant invitation, being broadcast at a frequency that your deepest self was tuned to receive long before you were born into this particular body. The planetary gathering that is visible in your western sky as the sun descends carries a teaching that your nervous system can receive more directly than your intellectual mind, because the nervous system responds to frequency before the mind responds to concepts, and the body knows things the mind is still formulating into language. When you step outside and allow your eyes to rest on the gathering of lights along the celestial arc, something within you that has no name begins to settle, not into passivity, not into sleepiness, into a particular quality of receptive alertness that is the precise condition your higher guidance requires in order to reach you with maximum clarity and minimum distortion. Venus blazes in the gathering with a brilliance that is impossible to ignore, and her light carries the frequency of magnetic beauty, of the heart's capacity to draw toward itself what is genuinely aligned with its deepest nature. In this passage, Venus is not merely a planet. She is an amplifier of the law of resonance, the universal principle that like calls to like across any distance, that what you genuinely are at the frequency level cannot fail to attract the circumstances, relationships, and opportunities that match that frequency with precision. Many of you have felt in recent weeks a new quality of magnetism in your daily experience, a sense that the right conversations are finding you rather than you seeking them, that the right openings are appearing before you have fully formulated the intention, that they are answering. This is Venus's frequency operating through the amplified field of the current celestial arrangement, and your invitation is to cooperate with it, consciously, rather than experiencing it as a mysterious external phenomenon. Choose what you love. Choose what aligns. Choose what makes the heart feel the particular quality of spaciousness that comes when the mind and the soul are in agreement about what is worth your energy and attention. Saturn stands nearby in the gathering with a more sober luminance, and Saturn's teaching in this alignment is one of the most practically useful transmissions available to a soul navigating the acceleration of an ascension corridor. Saturn is the master of intelligent structure, not the dead structure of rigid systems that refuse to evolve, but the living structure of a practice that has roots deep enough to support the height of what wants to grow through it. Many awakened souls carry an internal resistance to structure because they have associated it with the limitations that were imposed on them before they woke up, with the schedules and obligations and institutional frameworks that felt like cages, rather than containers for genuine life, but structure in the Saturnine sense. Structure that is consciously chosen and genuinely aligned with the soul's true. Direction is not a cage. It is the form that allows the formless to become embodied. It is the riverbank that allows the water to flow with power, rather than dissipating, into a marsh. What Saturn is asking of you in this passage is a simple and profoundly practical question. Where in your daily life would you benefit from creating a container, even a small one, for your spiritual connection to live in consistently rather than occasionally? Because a connection that lives in consistent containers creates a stable signal, and a stable signal is what allows you to receive guidance with the kind of reliability that transforms your daily life from one of reactive navigation to one of increasingly clear and sovereign direction. This is the moment where what you have been sensing starts to become fully clear. Do not look away from what wants to surface in you right now, because the recognition that is moving through you as you receive these words is: 1. You have been approaching for a very long time, and you are now close enough to feel its warmth directly. Neptune moves through the gathering as the most subtle of the congregated. Frequencies and subtlety is not the same as weakness. Neptune carries the transmission of the mystical intelligence, the part of your awareness that knows through resonance rather than through analysis, that receives truth as a quality of inner atmosphere rather than as a sequence of logical propositions. Many of you have noticed that your dreaming has become richer in recent weeks, that the imagery your sleeping mind presents to you has a vividness and a symbolic coherence that feels less like random neurological processing and more like deliberate communication from a layer of intelligence that operates with a clarity and a purposefulness that your waking mind respects, even when it cannot fully decode. This is Neptune's frequency in amplified expression, the channel between your ordinary consciousness and the deeper currents of knowing that your soul has access to when the surface noise of the waking mind subsides. Your dreams in this period are not obstacles to rest. They are transmissions. They are your higher self conducting navigational conversations with the part of you that your daytime habits can most easily override. Treat them accordingly, not with obsessive analysis, which will only bring Neptune's subtle medicine back through the channel of Saturn's. Structure in a way that closes the doorway rather than widening it, but with a gentle and curious honoring. A few words written in the morning, a willingness to sit with the mood and the image for a few quiet minutes before the day's demands arrive to replace them. Over time, these small acts of honoring create a relationship with your own depths that becomes one of your most reliable instruments of navigation. Uranus stands near the star cluster that your sky maps have named the Pleiades. And for many of you who have been reading this transmission, that particular proximity will register as something more than astronomical fact. It will register as recognition. Because the Pleiadian star system is not merely a collection of stellar objects at a particular coordinate in your galaxy. For many souls currently incarnated on Earth, it carries the frequency of origin, of a home note that the deeper consciousness recognizes as familiar, in the way that a particular song heard in an unexpected place can suddenly unlock a quality of emotion that the ordinary day had no pathway to reach. Uranus, in proximity to that region of sky, creates an activation current, a spark of awakening in the specific area of your awareness, where the sense of cosmic identity lives, where the knowing that you are more than this single lifetime and a single. Civilization has always been present, waiting for conditions hospitable enough to allow it to surface without the defense mechanisms of the conditioned mind, immediately suppressing it. What wants to surface in you now is not a grandiose story about who you are. It is something simpler and more profound than any story. It is the direct experience of your own frequency, your own unique signature in the living field of consciousness, the irreplaceable quality that only you carry and that this world genuinely needs you to embody more fully and more consistently than you have yet allowed yourself to. Do. Jupiter's presence in the gathering is unmistakable, a steady, generous light that requires no searching, that simply announces itself as an obvious and welcome presence in your evening sky. And Jupiter's frequency is one of expansion, but expansion understood correctly, not the frantic, compulsive outward reaching of a system that is trying to fill an inner emptiness with external accumulation, but the natural, confident, unhurried expansion of a consciousness that has discovered its genuine direction and moves toward it with the full weight of its commitment behind each step. Many of you are standing at precisely this threshold in this passage, at the place where a direction has become clear enough to commit to, where the exploratory phase of your path has done its essential work of elimination and clarification, and where something in you is ready to say yes, with a quality of fullness that you have not been able to access before. Jupiter's invitation in this alignment is to say that, yes. Not in a grand declaration that places enormous pressure on a single moment, but in the quiet, practical, everyday choosing of what expands you, what aligns you, what makes you more genuinely yourself, rather than less. Expanded courage. Expanded trust in the intelligence that has been guiding you through every season of this journey, including the ones that appeared from the outside to be loss or failure, or simply prolonged confusion. Expanded willingness to receive the support, the guidance, the synchronistic convergences of the right people and the right opportunities that the universe has been preparing for you with a precision that will gradually become visible as you move forward with less resistance and more genuine openness. What has just been transmitted through the planetary frequencies you have received, feel where it has landed in your body. There is something specific that has shifted in the quality of your inner atmosphere. In the last few minutes, notice it, trust it, because what comes next will show you exactly what to do with what you are feeling.